Hey guys, quick video today on a question that I do get asked a lot, and that is, should I take the job offer? I often get frantic calls or people approaching me when they've got an offer and it's going to take them out of their comfort zone, their comfort job, and they're at that point where they're genuinely not sure whether they should take it. So I've got three things for you to consider here. I don't think there's a right or wrong here, but there are factors which are worth thinking through in a bit more of a methodical way. So the first one is just recognizing that it's such a natural feeling to want to stick with what's comfortable. And when I say that, it might not be even all of you that wants to stick with something that's comfortable. It just might be some part of you that wants to stick with what's familiar, that knows the perks of your current role, and that is just that little bit attached to the security of that role. And it's just such a natural thing, whether you want to leave or not. It's a natural feeling, and I think we just need to acknowledge that there are probably very few of us who won't experience some form of anxiety over leaving what is known in favor of taking something that is novel and different. So that's the first thing. Just, it's okay to be feeling like this. It's normal. Most people do, and that's fine. Second thing to consider is your life stage. So when I'm being asked this by a young, free, single, child-free perhaps individual, versus when I'm being asked this by somebody who's perhaps about to have their second kid or is very much in those early stages of having children, the answer is different. And that's not because I'm not sitting here saying you shouldn't take risky jobs when you've started a family. 100% no. And I know, and I personally made quite big job moves during those early years. But there's just different factors at play when you have different life stages. And so it's just worth you looking at, taking an objective look at yourself, thinking about your current constraints and thinking about your current freedoms, because you might not fully appreciate some of the freedoms that you do have. Perhaps if you don't have to answer to anyone, if you can go and locate in a different part of the world, if you're free to do extensive travel, versus when you don't have those freedoms anymore. And so if I was coaching somebody who does think that, a family is on the cards, but right now don't have those constraints and they are having this dilemma, I would say go for it now, because later on you may very well want to make those kind of moves because you'd know it would benefit and broaden your career prospects, but you may no longer feel like you're willing to make those sacrifices or add on those different considerations into your working life. So just think about what your life stages are, what the freedoms are that they currently afford you, and your current constraints as well, because you may well be attached, you may have started a new relationship, and you may want to not move in a way which really kind of makes that very difficult. And so all of these things matter, and it's not just about what your current circumstances are, but it's about where you see yourself in 5 years or in 10 years as well, and therefore, what are the risks worth taking today that you may not be feeling quite as free to take in the future. So that's the second consideration that we often think through when I'm being asked about this sort of dilemma. And then the final question that I get people to think about is when they fast forward in their lives, so if they are able to zoom forward and think ahead to 5, 10, and even sort of much further down the line sort of thinking, and if they can propel themselves into that future and look back, would you regret not taking this opportunity? And if the answer is that you would regret it, clearly that's something that you want to build in. Sometimes these opportunities are particularly unique and rare and represent a combination of things that appeal to us. And yet they are also outside comfort zone, will involve some new routines and new schedules, and they may well require us to work harder in the early stages. First 100 days of any role are tough, and I guess you do want to feel like you are ready for that early piece, which can feel a little bit more performative. You are naturally that bit more on your best behavior. You may even have a probation period, so you just feel like you know that is going to require a bit more of you than continuing in your comfort zone. So those are three factors. This is a short video. Think those through and think about what they might mean for you. more often than not, I see people taking those risks, and often they want the permission, they want to think it through, they want to talk it through with other people, and they often want to talk it through with somebody independent. And that's probably my final piece of advice here, is that if you have your personal boardroom, your advice council, the people you go and talk to for advice, when you're asking them about these decisions, be really aware of who you're asking. Yes, you might be asking your nearest and dearest, your closest family members, your partner, but remember, they also have their own preferences, their own biases, and their own wishes for you. And that doesn't mean that you discount what they are recommending, but make sure you're aware of what their interests are when they are giving you that advice. I do often have to disentangle, when I'm coaching people, what they want and what they think the people around them want for them versus what those individuals have as strengths and weaknesses. And this is a whole other video. This is about, the point in our lives when we sort of release ourselves from the expectations of others. And we will get into that in future videos. But for now, I guess, when you are discussing this sort of an opportunity, make sure that when you're talking to, for example, your risk-averse dad, you're getting a risk-averse perspective. When you're talking to your young, free, single, risk-loving friend, make sure you know that that's what you're getting. You're getting a risk-friendly, a risk-tolerant perspective. When you're talking to different people, just make sure you're aware of the lens through which they are going to be sharing their advice with you. Good luck if you're making such a decision. I hope it goes well for you. The final thing I want to share here is that often the reason why it feels like a dilemma is because there's no bad and wrong choice here. Often when things are very finely balanced, we find it really hard to make a choice. And what that actually means is that whichever way you go, you're going to be able to make the best of it. And actually, it becoming successful is more dependent on you making a success for it than you having made the one and only correct choice. So don't feel like it is something that is going to be either 100% right or 100% wrong. You can make the best of any situation. All right, I look forward to connecting with you next time.